time, waiting for the acolyte. I am gonna catch that fool. You will think I'm really cool. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed.
Hello, good morning, how you doing? Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. Today is October 29. Yes, it's October 29, I'm pretty sure. Hello to everybody in the chat. Dave, hopefully everybody is doing well today. Hello, Marcus, Chong, Arn, Frank, Jonathan, hello to you. Ben, improvising the lyrics with all I want to do is print you on my inkjet. Okay, all right. Hello, Judy Gold. Eric, Michelle says, happy Friday, hunters. Indeed, happy Friday, everybody. Hello, hello. Good day to you as well, Lady Nutsy in the chat there. Hello. Lots of hellos in the chat. What do you have? 43 people hanging out. Hello, everybody. Happy hunting. Happy Friday, as Michelle said. And welcome to Feedback Friday. Well, today, Halloween's just around the corner. It's October 29. We got 2 days to go. So, if you're feeling spooky, scary, but that also means that the Halloween event will be winding down in the not too distant future. It'll be on Tuesday next week. And so we thought we'd use Feedback Friday this week as an opportunity to get feedback on the event, comments, questions, that sort of thing, and even specifically looking into how the event is going to shut down and eventually close as well. We have some thoughts that maybe we could streamline that a little bit better if we repeat the Boiling Cauldron event. That's a great question as well to throw out there. If you'd enjoyed it and you'd like to see it come back next year. But assuming we repeat it next year, we might do the shutdown a little bit differently than we're about to lay things out. But we thought, hey, we'll roll out this way and we can get feedback that way, get player impressions, suggestions, and comments, see how things go. But I thought it would be beneficial to basically go through how everything's going to work. There'll be a news post as well on Tuesday when things start to as well spell things out. But hey, anything that comes up a little confusing, or if there's questions in the chat, that sort of thing, that may help us. We maybe will add a few more details to that post that we have prepped for Tuesday. Trevor says, more potions. I can't have enough potions. What kind of potions is everybody getting from the apothecary there? More ultimate charm pot. Says Eric, more potions for ultimate charms. I'm definitely going to buy a few of those myself, but be careful. Remember, you do need the essences to use that potion. So if you go overboard, you may be delegating a whole lot of time in the living garden to try to use them. That said, your potions, you can hold on to them forever. You could use them whenever you like. So even if you don't have the materials, maybe you get one of the Dragonbane potions and you don't have any Amber Queso at the moment, you can go and get it, and then you can use your potions after the fact. You could hold on to them 5 years from now. You could go and finally pour them on some Amber Queso, should you so choose to do so. Jay's still saving up, didn't buy any potions yet. I'm in the same boat as well. I think a lot of hunters like to save up and spend everything toward the end. Jason did Wealth and then Rift Converting. That's a nice one as well. I like the Rift one. The Wealth has certainly been popular. I think that's been the most purchased so far, but I'd imagine a lot of people are saving up to spend things at the end. Ben is going 100% Epic Cheese Potions for 100% Diamond Cheese. That's an awfully tempting one as well. I've had my eye on that one. Jordan says, I'd like to see more spooky shuffle tickets trickle in more ways, perhaps a few each time a brew is completed. That's an interesting idea. I mean, you can spend, or you can purchase them from the shop using your elixirs. So in a way, you do get a few every time you brew, but you either have to choose, do you want potions, do you want tickets? But that might be kind of neat feedback for next year. Maybe increase the cost of them a little bit in the shop and then add a kind of a trickle. And so there's a little bit more you kind of slow and steady get some without having to spend your elixirs. But if you still want to go all out and that's what you want to spend your elixirs on, they're still there. Diamond says, I think I've only gotten 2 of the new potion drops from the cauldron. Yeah, it's kind of rare. It's more of a novel effect, but it does sometimes it's tough to find a trap that fits a certain niche, especially when it comes to an event. So, well, on that note here, we'll dive into a little bit of how the shutdown phase is going to roll out, and we're kind of just interested in getting impressions and feedback. Like I said, a news post will accompany everything as well, but it may give us a little insight of maybe things that we could clarify. To manage expectations, not to make a mountain out of a molehill. I don't think it's that complicated of a procedure, but it's just kind of nice to run through everything, see what questions come up. Michelle, you bought wealth and turned all your ultimates into gold, then bought some jewels in the marketplace. Ooh, that's interesting. You turned your wealth potion basically into a jewel potion that way. That's clever. Well, the shutdown is going to happen in 2 phases, which other events have kind of done something similar in the past as well. So November 2, that is Tuesday next week, basically means it's time to brew as much extract as you can. The only real significant change here coming on Tuesday is that the mice no longer drop ingredients. That really, there's a few other little changes, but gameplay-wise, that's the big one. So no more pumpkins, no more bones, no more ghost peppers, no more avocados, and no more mouse drake root. So you can still hunt with the event cheese, you can still attract event mice. It's just nothing's dropping ingredients. Everything else, for the most part, work in the same way. Your cauldrons still work. You can add things, you can cancel things, you can sound the horn, and you're brewing away, and your cauldrons will still produce output and all that stuff. It's just you can't get more ingredients. So it's really time, hey, take stock of what you have and brew as much as you can during this week. At the same time, consolation mode will be enabled for maps because, hey, if somebody's entirely out of event cheese, you can't get more ingredients, you can't make any more. So if you're halfway through a map, you might be stuck. At that point, you might want to activate consolation, or maybe one of your friends has a little bit of event cheese left to help finish off that map. The gifts and the loyalty chests go back to normal as well. So like there's pungent pumpkins in the loyalty chests, and the gift of the day and all that stuff will no longer be Halloween themed. And just as a note as well, saw somebody ask in Discord, just to kind of confirm the premium shop is unchanged. So like I said, the big thing there is you just can't get more ingredients. So it's really about just kind of brewing through what you have. Matt says, back after 2-year hiatus, enjoyed the event. Glad to see it was different from the ghost ships of last year. Well, welcome back, Matt. Glad to hear you enjoyed the event. Chris says, more shuffle tickets. Really feels like they've run dry. All right, that's good feedback. We'll take note for next year as well. But as a reminder as well, you can get them at the shop as well. So they are out there. Deborah says, why would I spend elixirs on spooky shuffle tickets? How about adding tickets to the daily chest? Well, yeah, I mean, that's the choice to make. Do you want the spooky shuffle rewards or do you want the potion rewards? Right? It's kind of similar to different types of potions being in the shop for the elixirs, and you choose which potion you want versus every time you brew, you get like a random potion that you didn't get to pick, or you get a trickle of everything. Lets you choose. So here, here's your event currency. How do you want to cash it out? Sean says, I guess we can still go for event mice crowns. Yeah, that's a good segue into the November 9. So that's the phase 2. For all intents and purposes, the Halloween event is over then. So really it's that 1 week, brew everything you have. November 9 rolls around and it's cash out time. Basically, it's just, the event area is around for a little longer, just because at that point, you definitely know how much, where you stand in terms of evil extract. You know exactly everything you have to cash out. The big gameplay change there is your cauldrons will no longer brew from hunting. So when you sound the horn, your cauldrons no longer do anything. You can still add things to them. You could still cancel your queue and get your ingredients back. You could use reagent to finish things. You could go and exchange your mouse drake for reagent and use your reagent that way. But just when you sound the horn, there isn't even a number on the cauldrons anymore. So that it doesn't kind of tick down and produce anything. The Greenwood shops all remain unchanged. So again, at this point, if you did have any mouse strike left, it is time to exchange some for reagent and finish up everything that way. Similar to the Great Winter Hunt. If you have way too many golem parts at this point, it's time to smash them into snow, buy a few bells, and try to use up as many parts as you can that way. The premium shop will change. It'll just have reagent, trap skins, and spooky shuffle supplies, and event mice. You can still encounter them, but again, they no longer drop ingredients. So hey, if you're really trying to finish up a last map or something, or as someone pointed out in the chat there, you really want to finish up a King's Crown, you're really close, you do have kind of one more week. If you have some event cheese, you could use it, but they won't drop any ingredients. Chris says, mice should no longer drop cheese ingredients, but I feel like I'd be wasting my time on brewing elixirs if you weren't getting some root. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, and that's kind of what we're contemplating. We're going to kind of see how this goes, what the feedback is, get sentiment, and if we do repeat the cauldrons next year, maybe make the event a little bit longer and just have 1 week where at that point the magic fades out of the cauldrons, they don't work anymore, and really just kind of do the November 9 to 16 phase, and then kind of it's a little more short and sweet that way, at least the shutdown. But then extend the event a little longer. But we are curious, we're kind of keeping tabs on what everyone's brewing and when. And so we're going to kind of watch to see how many people are making cheese like tomorrow. Right? If people are still brewing cheese, it's probably time to not make cheese anymore and make elixir. But everyone's has their own kind of take on things. Trevor says, not a fan of no skin drops only being in the shop. Prices went through the roof and nobody will spend event currency on old skin. Needs to be an alternative. Well, I mean, it's a choice to make. I mean, the alternative there was if they're randomly dropped, you just kind of end up with way too many of them. And then the opposite happens. They kind of have absolutely no value and they're not special whatsoever, because there might be 50,000 hunters and there is 500,000 trap skins to go around. So everybody can have 10 copies of it. And it's kind of, well, what do I do with all these trap skins? So yeah, I understand it. Maybe it's like you got to choose between a potion and a skin, but that's your choice to make. You can either say I want a potion for the event reward, or I want a trap skin as the event reward. So you have to kind of pick what you are most interested in. They're all on the marketplace though, so you could certainly use gold instead of your elixir. So there's kind of lots of choice, and you as the hunter, you're empowered to make the decision of what rewards you want to get out of the event. No random drops hurts for newer players. I mean, I don't think they were priced exorbitantly high in the shop, but good feedback for next year. Maybe price them a little bit lower. But definitely kind of feedback we've gotten from other events where trap skins, because everyone kind of only needs one. If there's a situation where the supply, they come in faster than people realistically need them, there's a finite demand for them. But if they're random drops, they have an infinite supply. And so kind of that's the philosophy behind it anyway, is if there are 5 skins for every person playing the game, then they're not special anymore, because, well, in fact, we get the opposite feedback of like the witch brew skin. Go check that thing out. Like, what am I supposed to do with 100 witch brew skins? And it just kind of begs, then we get the opposite feedback. So it's a tricky balance to get. Gia says, was Ultimate Charm Potion introduced to address power creep? I might have to clarify. I don't really think power creep's a thing. I think it's more come down to pacing, just like if you're playing an RPG and you start on day 1 and you're battling some rat and you're using a little wooden sword and you're just fighting that rat and you're like, oh okay, finally I've slayed the evil rat. If you go and play for a year and you come back to that starter area and you've got the epic sword of awesomeness and you still struggle against that rat, something has gone horribly wrong in the design of that progression. So I don't think power creep is a thing. I don't think it's even a thing that exists in games. The problem is pacing. So if you don't have a significant amount of time passes before you feel powerful enough to come back to an earlier, less challenging thing with better equipment, then the pacing is wrong. But eventually all things must become easy, and it's just the scale of when that happens. It is absolutely unavoidable, and to kind of design around that is pretty futile. You'll end up being not fun, because you've basically set up a thing where no matter how much effort you put in, you don't become any more powerful. I was like, what? But as you become more powerful, there should be challenges that are now appropriate to your power level. So again, it kind of just comes down to pacing, I think. But in that terms is the pacing of how quickly you can amass the ultimate charms. But remember, those potions don't make an ultimate charm. they make crafting one significantly easier, but you still need some of those essences. So if anything, it's increased the yield you get out of your essences, but it hasn't made you get them for free from the event. They're just a little more accessible. One final thing too here, before we kind of get to a little run through to see what questions come up, is just to help hopefully clarify then after November 16. So you can basically say Halloween is done and dusted at that point. The Greenwood location is going to become inactive. So anyone who's still in there, they'll be kindly escorted out. You can no longer travel to it on the map. The image is going to flip to something that looks to be shut down. And at this point, or shortly thereafter, ingredients will be removed from inventory. So just want to be as clear as possible. It's the 6 things above me. The 6 things in that list, those are the only things that are removed. The pumpkins, marshmallow, the ghost peppers, avocado, mouse drake root, and the evil extract. So definitely you want to spend all those, everything in the shop. You can cash all that stuff out before November 16. And at November 16, the event location goes away, and with it go all the shops. So you will not be able to cash those out. You got to make sure you do it before then. That's kind of the last chance for cash out. Merge the too many skin. Well, yeah. It's a tricky balance to get right. And if, maybe between the feedback there is hearing, hey, I want to be able to get the skins, but I want to be able to get them in a way other than the elixirs. But with that, there still needs to be some sort of choice around that, I suppose. Otherwise, there's too many of them. So somebody has to kind of choose to get a skin. It creates a natural balance, right? Whereas if a lot of people buy the skins, they'll kind of be valued a little bit lower, and so fewer people will buy them, and that'll just balance out supply and demand. If nobody is getting the skins, then they'll be perceived as very valuable, more valuable than a potion, and that will incentivize people to pick them up. So it should all kind of find a place to settle on. In some ways, it's nice. There are skins that are very different and special, and there's skins that are a little bit more routine. So, and being a cosmetic, I think they're a pretty good fit for a kind of an optional reward that doesn't feel 100% necessary to get every single time. Glon asks, any timeline on the new Relic Hunter season? It will be in November if all goes according to plan. And so even by then, kind of Halloween might be a little bit in the rear view. So I don't think it'll be later than November 16 unless something goes wrong, but I think we're even aiming to be a little sooner than that. We're just wrapping up some loose ends, doing a little last testing as well. Living Garden Gang post-event farm those eye essence. Yeah, it'll definitely kind of make the Living Garden a little bit more rewarding. You'll only need 1 essence instead of 3. You have to do a little less hunting. Won't have to kind of jump through quite as many hoops to do crafting. Judy says, I'll save some of the event cheese as souvenirs. I know I'm a big fan of the ghoul gonzola and the candy corn cheese, so I always like to make sure I've kept a little bit of that, even just the illustration I'm a big fan of. Trevor says, if you have a low drop rate from certain mice and 10% chance in chests will create balance in multiple ways of obtaining, yeah, I mean, something we've explored that in other events, though, and we've gotten kind of contrary feedback. So, I think where we've landed, at least at the time being, is finding a way to have the skins where they do not, you don't obtain them passively. I guess if I can phrase it that way, or you have to choose you want the skin. The skin doesn't just find its way to you, because that puts a lot of people in the position where they don't want the skin and they get the skin. And that's what sort of leads to them not being special any longer. And I think that's where some of the negative feedback has come up, is like, I've got all these skins, what do I do with them? And then suggestions come out along the ways, like, can I take a bunch of these skins and make them into a different skin? But then what if I have too many of that? Okay, can I take, it's just, it never ends that way. So all in all, I think maybe a little bit of tuning, but we're pretty happy with that. Fit asks, why not keep those Halloween ingredients as vintage items, cobweb, etc.? Well, in some ways, they're tied directly to kind of the progression of the event. So in the same way as the golden parts, it creates a very sort of odd choice at the end. Do I use them now or do I save them for next year? There's a few things that are applicable, but in some ways too, the events do occasionally change. There's some events we've repeated a bit, but there's no guarantees that they come back. So in some ways, I feel like it's good to have at least a portion of them where you feel very safe and comfortable cashing them out because they go away. And there's no like, well, I could get spooky charms, but what if they have something better next year? It creates this kind of odd fear of missing out anxiety, and it's just kind of not fun that way. It kind of feels like I want to have fun and I want to cash out, but I don't just in case. And then next year you might think, oh, they didn't add anything else. Oh, I should have cashed out, and it's just awkward. So over the years, that's where we've sort of landed. We've massaged things into the kind of this state, at least for the time being, and that's kind of the philosophy behind that. The tissue paper cheese is cool. I can't be unseen once you see that. If you do look up the cheese that inspired the poltergeist, it is typically portrayed in that way, and I think you typically shave off the top. So we can get into seeing what does this look like as well in this kind of shutdown phase. So here I've got a test environment set up. And right now I am exactly how the game is going to be come Tuesday. So the event is coming to an end, and the HUD changes and it says the ingredients have all been harvested. So that indicates, hey, all the ingredients are gone. Pumpkins, bones, ghost peppers, avocados, mousedrake root. It's all gone, but everything for the most part works exactly as you'd expect it. I can still, I can cancel a queue. I can still add more things to my queue. I can hunt. And look at this. I'm producing cheese. And in this environment, I don't have to wait 15 minutes. So I can still go. I can finish off a hunt here. And cool. I get some stuff. Hey, the reward track is still going. If you're looking to finish that up, you can still brew your evil extract and work on the reward track. The shops all remain behind. Basically, nothing significant has changed other than mice don't drop ingredients anymore. So, hey, you just should deplete everything you have. Try to brew as much as you can or go to the shop. You can exchange things as well, like the pumpkins and the bones for charms. There's things to cash them out individually as well. Matthew says, hey guys, first time asking a question for Feedback Friday. Have you ever thought of making a showcase for favorite things trapped similar to favorite mice showcase? Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. That is chilling in the idea bank. Definitely the profile overhaul here originally did have almost where you could click and drag and you could really kind of make a nice little profile page for yourself. You could show off certain collectibles. So it's still kind of in that idea backlog. Just kind of went a little outside the scope of that initial profile overhaul that we did a while back now. But definitely, yeah, kind of think that's a great idea. Jenna says, my teammate still needs a Relic Hunter bases. How much time is left until the new season? I think we'll be announcing that pretty soon. The clock is ticking, though. I would say they should get going on that ASAP. Ryan asks, has the team been able to port over the reagent to golems? That is something we're looking at, and I think we've had a little bit of success there. So we discussed that on other Feedback Friday, something where the bells could be per hunt rather than all 25 hunts in one go. So a little inspiration from the Halloween event into the Great Winter Hunt. We are exploring that. So I think it's going fairly well, but subject to testing, I guess. Caleb says, thank you for adding a way to cash out single ingredients. You was concerned about that. Yeah, that's certainly great. The avocados for ultimate spooky charms is kind of tempting, to be honest. That's a little tempting. Caleb says, did you say the excess evil extract won't be deleted? So let's go back for absolute clarity here. Everything above me is going to be removed after the 16. So there are 6 items. Basically, all those resource items on the HUD that aren't cheese, all the ingredients and the evil extract go. There are 6 things. Everything else. Just even looking at the HUD spooky shuffle tickets are not removed. Reagent is not removed. All your cheese not removed. So it's just those 6 things. Everything else stays. So now even let's take a look ahead here and bear with me. Live demo. What could go wrong? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this test environment now into the next phase. Change a false to a true. And I'm going to hope for the best. So So let's see what happens here. So, assuming this works, and it looks like it did. Sweet. So now this little message has changed to the magic of in the cauldrons has faded. So this is going all the way ahead to, and I'm horrible with dates, so I'm going to look at the date. This is going ahead to November 9. This is going ahead to November 9. So this is not next week, and hopefully I won't cause any confusion here, but you can see there's no number left on the cauldron anymore. And when I sound the horn, nothing's happening. I hunt mice, I can arm this cheese, I can still hunt event mice, but they don't drop loot, and my cauldrons, it's like they're just frozen in time. But you can still use reagent, that works just fine. And at this point, if, especially how I'm set up here with over 1,000 mouse drake, I have not done a good job of brewing that. You're definitely going to want to go to the shop, go to the apothecary, pick up some reagent. So I've got way too much reagent. Cool, I can buy some. Probably shouldn't have bought that much. And now I've got lots of reagent to use up, and I can try to finish up everything. I can add things to the cauldron. Everything works just like it did before. It's just the horn doesn't do anything anymore. So I can power through all this stuff. If I did have ingredients, yeah, sure, I can still queue up cheese. I can make the cheese if I want, or you can go to the shop. Remember, all those ingredients, you can cash them out for individual items in the shop. Reward track is still chilling out here. And I'm just making some progress because I started at a 0 reward track here. Yeah, Sean says mini bells would be greatly appreciated, and we're staying up late to finish the 25 hunts for golems. Yeah, just kind of removed a little piece of friction, eh? Being able to do that whenever you like. Penelope, are there any plans for more non-lethal weapons so I don't have to kill the mouses? We do mix them in as best we can here and there. Some power types lend themselves better than others. But for sure, they're kind of sprinkled in throughout here and there. Server crashed from that one command. Well, you never know. There's a spooky shuffle. Yep, spooky shuffle still going here too. And so we'll end the spooky shuffle. Look at this, just too good. It's too good. First try. All right. I'm going to quit with a 100% success rate. That's it. I retire from the spooky shuffle, having never missed a single match. We'll turn the spooky shuffle off probably in the not too distant future after that. So by all means, if you're interested in the spooky shuffle, try to do that sooner than later. But that'll probably come a little bit later, maybe probably closer to the Great Winter Hunt or something. But for sure, you could still cash out and get a few more tickets. So we've yet to kind of pin down an exact date, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, Matthew likes the Infinite Labyrinth, one of your favorites. Great original design. All the skins are gorgeous too. I like that one as well. I really like the puzzle box skin for the Infinite Labyrinth. I think that's one of my favorites. Ben says, time to sign out of work for the day after your spooky shuffle success. Yeah, I should just retire forever. I think, a little story time here. Actually, I was with Giorgio and a few others. Franco was there, yeah, and we did a little camping trip. We went away. And just in the place that we were at, there was a slingshot, just as, I don't know, a little something you could do if you were bored, I guess. And it was like a serious one, the kind that mounts to your wrist. Like this thing, you could hunt with it, I think. And so, inevitably we set up a pop can on a tree stump very far away. And, everyone else is flinging it. And I was like, all right, Dave, you give it a try. First try, I just nailed that can like nobody's business. Like I was a pro. And at that point, I was like, I can't play anymore, guys. I need to retire. I have 100% accuracy. I'm going to retire the unbeatable champion of the slingshot competition. Hey, LV, Dave, your deathbot hurts my eyes. Well, we often like to, especially an event, like to kind of run through it with a kind of mediocre or lower level trap for sure. There's a blast from the past, the good old ambush. Nice aesthetic here. It always feels like there's a nice hardwood floor. It's just, how can you not click the horn? In some ways, it's bad that it just keeps showing up. Pokey says, I just want to see that I'm sad that there are less chances to get Spooky Shuffle tickets this year. All right, well, that's definitely some feedback we'll log. And just in case you missed it as well, it is in the shop, but maybe we'll tune that up. Well, maybe we'll add a trickle somewhere, kind of add them in more places. They are in the maps as well. Add them in some more places and then make them a little more expensive in the shop. So they're kind of, you get fewer of them with Elixir, but you get more of them through other means. When we cancel the first queue slot, can we please have the second one stay in its place? Let's see if I can follow you here. Let's load up some Bone Fort. Actually, hold on here. We're going to need different things. We'll go Bone Fort, Pumpkin, Ghost. So you're saying here, when you cancel the first queue slot, this slides ahead, yeah. Let's take everything out here. Let's make things easier to understand. I'm going to go in the order of quality of cheese. Are you saying if I cancel this one, yeah, it slides forward? You'd want an empty slot? That might be a little bit awkward in that if then you don't put anything there. When you get to that point, like it has to slide forward. So, I mean, at that point, if you really want the order, and you'd have to kind of, just cancel everything and do it over again. Why is the explosive base not a consumable item? Ben, that's been a great mystery for the better part of 14 years. But we can still remember the big smile that went on our face when Jacob sent in the first batch of equipment on the first kind of traps and bases, and just the absolute absurdity of it all, where, what are you talking about? Should I have to replace this every time? But it's over the top. Judy, loving the School of Shark skin, waiting for more Chrome School of Shark skins. Yeah, absolutely. Glenn says, are the devs willing to tease us with a little extra information on what areas the Relic Hunter season bases will be used for? I believe the hint we got there for the Hollow Heights. Yeah, in some ways it kind of blends nicely. If you did last season and this season, you have a nice little set of Hollow Heights bases. So we're kind of waiting to see for the season to arrive. Trevor says, I have a big hate for the ambush trap. Oh no. I had just obtained it when the Snow Barrage was released. Figured, why would I need a 1250 power trap when I just got 3000? One of the few LE you don't have. Yeah, they're collector's items. And Diamond Knight says, thanks for putting the Spooky Shuffle Dust on rare maps. Yeah, definitely kind of tuned up the maps a little bit this year. Matthew, those are some really excellent skins. I think your personal favorite is the Poinsettia Ballista. It's got simple elegance that can't be beaten. I'm going to venture a guess, a pretty safe guess, that I think Lauren illustrated that skin. If you see anything that is particularly plant-based or floral, she is a great master of illustrating plant life. So it's usually a pretty safe bet. But the Orca was a fantastic trap skin, yeah. Even there's a lot of great inspiration, so much great, fantastic art in the game. I know kind of an idea I've been chilling out for a long time, finding a way to be able to enjoy that artwork even better. Kind of choose the way you want your trap to look cosmetically while having other stats. It's something we're still kind of chewing on. There's a little bit of rough edges to smooth out, whoa, in terms of skins and how that works. I'm just kicking my computer, that's good. Don't mind me. Yep, breaking things. But hopefully that's kind of a nice run through of how the shutdown phase will work. Hopefully, again, not to make it seem like it's going to be some complicated operation, but hopefully that'll clarify things. Didn't see too many kind of questions or points of confusion come up, but like I said, we'll put up a news post as well Tuesday when everything rolls out. Should spell out everything fairly nicely. And I'm going to make a little note here. Too many computers. I'm on my desktop. I got my laptop over there to change things. All the while there's a coffee dangerously close to that laptop. That's terrifying. Limbomber says, I think the Baron Spooky Shuffle rewards were better than Duke ones. It's more challenging to bounce around untradeable items. Yeah, fair enough. But again, it's all subjective, right? And anytime you have a situation where different players make different choices, but they're both happy in the choice they made, that usually means it's an interesting choice, right? Because there's no kind of right or wrong answer. And so that, again, that's great. That's kind of meant to be, if what you find, what you want, you can go and get it. You're not kind of shoehorned into like, nope, this is what you get. Sorry. Tough luck. If you want something else, this is what we're giving you. There's autonomy, there's choice. You get to kind of pick what you want to get out of it. And so, that's why it works great to have the board now customizable. You can choose sort of what title range of reward you want. Whether or not that's the best way to group things together is kind of hard to say, but it seems like it works well enough, at least for the time being. If I keep wanting to click on the video here, we'll spare you. I guess here, I got the different slide up here, but same's happening to me out of the corner of my eye, just seeing the hunter's horn, and I want to click it. Well, on that note, we should transition perhaps to trivia for this week. And as always, Larry will have a link if anyone has it right in the chat, which usually seems to be a safe bet. And no one's with me today for trivia, so I guess we can just do away with that. Goodbye, blank person, that's me. The trivia question this week is, in what year was the Spooky Shuffle first introduced? And, the answer might be a little surprising. It doesn't feel like it's been around for this long. Now, this is easy to guess because there's only so many answers. There's only so many valid guesses that could be made. I'm getting worried that I have the answer wrong. Oh, so close. I'm going to go and check because I'm really worried. 2014, Zachary says. Do I not know the answer? I believe 2014 is the correct answer. Somebody should correct me if I'm wrong. But Zach, I think, was the first that said 2014. Unless something's gone horribly wrong, I believe that's the year the Spooky Shuffle was introduced. 7 years ago. 7 years. Time is passing, everyone. Be careful. It keeps ticking away. You tell it to stop, but it just keeps going. I'll put that reward link in the chat as well, if my copy and paste skills are up to the task. There's Larry's reward link, is in the chat. And still so much fun. Wow, the year is 2022 now. Wait, no, hold on, that's 2021. Have I lost? Yeah, it's 2021. But Dave, have you not aged since 2008? Oh, I think it's safe to say I have. Shall we play another round of the Spooky Shuffle? Do we dare? Do we break our streak here? Can we go 2 for 2? Rift missed. Swing and a miss. That's pretty good, though. We're doing pretty well here. Uh-oh. It's all downhill from here. There's the Rift missed. There's the Tower Mana. There's the Spice Leaf. Nope, that was beside it. The gold. King's Credit. I don't think we've checked there yet. Nope. Shouldn't have been randomly clicking. Lesson learned. Well, that went sideways in a hurry. We got off to a really strong start, though. Ben, Dave, Andrew told me if I convinced you to make mouse wisdom values public, he could add them to the endpoint so we can use them in player-made tools. What do you think? Yeah, it's in the cards. Just kind of putting the design work behind that. But yeah, definitely it's just sort of it's kind of like a little bit of a housekeeping project that needs to be done. But yeah, long term, that is the goal, to kind of expose wisdom and just make it more sort of out there and in the game. But we're chipping away at that. as we're getting better suited and better capabilities to be able to work on more than one project at once. Kind of a challenge definitely for years has been the team has been awfully small, and so typically at any given point, kind of 90% of the team is all working on the same thing. And there's a couple little side projects going on here and there, but we're finally getting a little bit better of a setup going here where we can work on more than one thing at once. Which just helps sort of a lot of the kind of nice to haves or some of the things we really have wanted to get to for a long time, but it's just we have to make other priorities. We can finally kind of get around to those. So I'm pretty excited for the future. Devs never age, oh dear. Math Awakening, he's Super Dave, time traveled, maybe went back to the 10th birthday event. Got some of those, stole some of the abilities of those time traveling mice. Make mouse power public, absolutely, Dallas too. That is kind of on the to-do list. So definitely if we were making MouseHunt today, in no way, shape, or form would you not be able to click the mouse and just see how much power it has. Because just like your trap, a mouse has power. And so definitely that's kind of in the cards. It's just a matter of getting it done. It probably would come with a bit of an overhaul to kind of how you see mice in the game when you visit the mouse page. Hopefully I'm doing you a favor by not having to stare at a horn that you can never sound. But just being able to see that right here. Being able to see things like luck is the only thing that can, well, power can do it as well, but luck, it's a lot more accessible or easier to accomplish. Where you can have luck where now you never miss the mouse. And some ways that is kind of the point of luck. As you go up, different titles of trap or different title requirements have different luck, so that when you go back to the meadow and you're now going back and you have an awesome trap, it's like, well, you shouldn't miss the mice there. And that kind of goes back, we were talking about power creep at the beginning, when it's seen as, for some reason it's seen as bad, when I see it as something good. You do want to be able to go back to the meadow with your Chrome Monster Bot and not miss a single mouse. And so that's kind of the function of luck, is to create the safety net where it's, because it's exponential, it's not linear, we can kind of control when do you get access to basically 100% catch rate, or when have I just become way too powerful for the mice here and I'm ready for bigger and better challenges. Yeah, Zachary, I think the trap effectiveness scale should be updated. Yeah, absolutely as well. That as well as chilling out in the backlog to be overhauled. But unfortunately, it has a lot of kind of loose ends or rough edges in the code to iron out there. So it's kind of a large undertaking, and it requires basically reprogramming the way you catch mice, which, as you can imagine, is a very scary job, and a large one at that. So it's kind of in that category of very high effort but high impact. So it's difficult to kind of slot it in the roadmap versus things that are low effort, high impact. Well, you just want to do those this afternoon. You want to do those as often as you can because they're easy to accomplish and they provide a lot of value, and those usually go right to the top of the list of priorities. Whereas then there are things as well that are extremely high effort, very low impact, and those usually go toward the bottom of the priority list. But there's, every once in a while something comes up that way where it's an extraordinary amount of effort to get it done and no one's ever going to notice that you did it. Well, you might call that a thankless task, but every once in a while they still need to get done. Yeah, the bummer. I feel like I'll never get the Hope Mouse. It's so hard to attract it. Yeah, could use a little bit of a repurposing. We've been kind of working our way from the front of the game forward, and I would imagine when we get to Froma, we might kind of repurpose, shuffle some things around there. But we're kind of a small team. We got to pick our battles wisely, and so sometimes we haven't been quite able to pick up Froma and overhaul it yet. But we've been working kind of at the start of the game, working our way forward. Final Heart, where is the tourney overhaul on that effort versus impact? I would say that's high effort, high impact thing. So it's the type of thing everyone wants to do it. It's just hard to fit it in. You know what I mean? It's several months of work. Again, it kind of absolutely, there's nothing to salvage there. We tried to look if there was like the silver bullet. We dug in shortly after the Great Winter Hunt. Can we kind of just fix this thing up? It's like an old car and the oil hasn't been changed in a long time. Well, can we get in there and, if we just replace a part or two, is this thing still going to run for another 10,000 miles or so? Can we get a little more life out of it? But no, it's like the chassis has been rusted out. The engine is completely shot. And it's just, it's time for a new car. It's time to replace the car. It's not going to run anymore. And so it takes a long time to kind of build that. So it's just tricky. It's just tricky to find a spot where we kind of everything lines up and we have all the resources at the ready to actually execute on that. Yeah, Alex seconding wisdom being front facing since points are more or less irrelevant now. Yeah, exactly. I think that goes back to if we were making MouseHunt today, I don't even think we would have points, but they're there. There are certain players who enjoy them, and so we wouldn't want to take them out. So it's the creative energy and the creative design effort that has to go into, okay, how can we find a spot for all three of these things, points, gold, and wisdom, even though two of them are awfully similar. I think the original inspiration of wisdom was because you can't lose it, and at the time kind of using it as a means of leveling up. But I don't know, it's a little antiquated. It's not exactly the best design. It's got some rust on it, so it could definitely use a facelift, an overhaul. Glon asks, any teasers for the next area idea yet? Like maybe which region of the world it will be in? It's probably too soon to say. We are making some headway. We're getting close to being able to break ground on that. If all goes according to plan, it will be a brand new region, and it'll be a big one. So, but kind of too soon to go into any specifics. Plans may dramatically change. But there's definitely an area we've been looking to utilize. But that said, there's been a few different ideas, and I don't know who's going to kind of stake claim to this land right here, who is going to kind of chart that forward. There's been kind of a couple different ideas of what we want to put there. So that's probably ripe for some development. So we'll see. At the moment anyway, there's kind of two very different ideas slotted to kind of build into here and kind of go up. Hey, what's up here? There seems like there's a lot of woods. Oh, what could be up here? I don't know. We'll see. New potion next year, convert points to gold, eh? No, probably not. It'll probably maintain sort of some sort of gauge of how difficult of a mouse you've captured, or kind of how long it takes to hunt that mouse, but always being a little subjective. But we'll see. Curious, what is this wisdom thing? Been gone a while. Is this a new concept? Yeah, that's exactly the point, right? It's something every player should know what it is, because it's relatively important to your progression, and yet for 14 years it's been hidden and never at the forefront, which is just kind of bad. But every mouse you capture rewards you wisdom. Typically, it's a percentage of the points. You can never lose wisdom, whereas points you can lose points, and that's what controls your title. So as you gain wisdom. Think of it like experience in an RPG. You need so much wisdom to reach a certain title. So every mouse you catch gives you XP. We call it wisdom. But definitely it should be kind of at the forefront. You should be able to see it. It's just kind of something that hasn't quite made its way through the development pipeline yet. You can see it in Larry's Loot Lexicon, though. You can look up how much wisdom you have, but it's a little, like I said, it's not at the forefront like it should be. Zachary says, hopefully Rift Tribal Isles, though, really exciting. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, personally, I've kind of... The creative juices are a little bit tapped on the Rift, but we all kind of have different pitches and things like that. So we'll see if somebody kind of has the creative juices for a Tribal Isles Rift. It would probably be a big one, right? There's just so many mice, so much story there to go through. So it might be looking for something a little bit different, at least in the immediate future. Ben suggests Plank Run's Castle. There's like the list never ends. We could just chat all day about all the projects that need some life given to them. But definitely Plank Run's Journals is in need of just an overhaul. Again, kind of how would we do it in 2021 is not how we would do it. And they've kind of changed over the years. So to kind of unify them a bit, originally they were meant to be, well, how am I supposed to know what the crafting recipe for sushis is? Well, you get a Plank Run page and it tells you, oh, that's how I discover crafting recipes. But crafting became so integral to the part of the game where if you don't know how to craft something, it's just not fun and you can't do anything. It's this really weird roadblock where all of a sudden you have to go to the wiki or you have to find this page that you didn't even know you were looking for. So just kind of bad design. That kind of evolved into the HUD in the recipe book as we found kind of better ways to accomplish than that, and that left Plank Run's pages in an awfully odd spot. So we do want to repurpose that to be more lore, more storytelling, let you know kind of where did the mice come from? Why are they so powerful? Why are we capturing all these mice? That's kind of where we want to go with that, but we just have to find the time and the resources to push that forward. Asif says, where are the salt mines that you promised back in 2009? I think that was a great joke of the player base. It was something the players had promised, the next area. I was like, what's the next area? It's also salt mines. So it became a bit of an inside joke. So if you ever hear the salt mines, it is a fictitious area. And there's a couple references to it in the game, just as a little bit of a nod to that early inside joke that players put together so many years ago. Grant asks, what is the recipe for ninja bread cheese? I believe we have finally deleted the recipe for ninja bread and no one ever discovered it. If I'm not mistaken, it was a patch note item. There was another defunct recipe, I believe for sunshine cheese. During development, it was going to be crafted. We changed it to be a shop item. I may be entirely mistaken. I'm doing this really from memory. But the recipe was never deleted during development, so it happened to go live. And so again, there's just this defunct, pointless recipe chilling out. So you may have noticed a patch note item there as well. Not too long ago, we deleted that and then compensated anyone who had unlocked it with Super Brie. But similarly, at the time, we also deleted the ninja bread recipe because that was a defunct item as well. But when we looked up, nobody had unlocked the recipe, so it was all good there. It was a bit of we're doing a mountain overhaul, and the ninja was going to be kind of the main antagonist of the mountain, kind of like the abominable snow mouse eventually filled that role, and you were going to capture the ninja with ninja bread cheese, and so you'd have to kind of learn crafting or expand upon your learning of crafting in the mountain. And then that all got developed, and in the programming world, typically you develop in something you call a branch. And it's kind of, it's your own little sandbox, all your changes, the other, developers, other people who aren't working on the same project that you are don't see it. But somehow that one got developed in kind of the main branch, if you will. And so not everything was deleted. And sure enough, that little cheese that was never meant to exist made its way into the live game, the production environment, if you will. And up until recently, it was difficult to delete an item once it was made in production. There was just kind of some technical hoops that just made it kind of brittle. It was a little dangerous deleting an item, but now we have that functionality where we can delete an item and not be completely scared of doing so. Halloween's over. Time for the scariness to go away, I guess. But the salt mines are referenced in the description of Ionized Salt, says Matt. Yeah, I think that's one of our homage to that inside joke of the players, is just making a nod to that community effort that came forth. Limbomber asks, are there any undiscovered secret in the game that we haven't found yet? None that I am aware of. Ben says, I did get Super Brie for the sunshine cheese recipe unlock. Guess science does pay off. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Ryan, are there Easter eggs like hidden recipes? I don't believe so. Unless Franco's been running amok. He's usually the Easter egg specialist. But other than that, you have to wait for the spring egg hunt to find those. Well, on that note, what are we at here? We're at 55 minutes. Should probably wrap things up soon, as I am beginning to run out of voice. That's usually when I've been speaking for an hour straight. It starts to happen. But yeah, to wrap things up, thank you for joining me, everybody. Feedback looks like the shutdown, not too many questions or concerns came up in there. Thank you for the feedback as well. Like I always mention, especially with events, we prep our sort of project, our milestone for next year well ahead of time. And it's a great place to kind of record sentiment, record feedback, suggestions, maybe things we want to tune a bit next year, changes we want to make, tweaks to rewards and drop rates and all that stuff. It's always great to get that feedback. We can kind of log it for next year. Please do keep in mind November 2, the shutdown of the winter hunt. The shutdown of Halloween will start on November 2. The most significant change that you need to kind of worry about there or be aware of is that the mice no longer drop ingredients. Other than that, for the most part, everything's going to work as you'd expect. So just brew like crazy, brew up everything you got. If you have a lot of mouse drake, probably want to start brewing it right now. And then November 9 comes along, and basically at that point, Halloween is more or less over. The horn will no longer progress your cauldron. So at that point, you have to go to the apothecary and kind of exchange your mouse drake for reagent, cash everything out that way, or cash everything out for charms. Just make sure you get rid of everything and move on. You can leave the greenwood at that point, unless you're chasing down a final king's crown or something like that. Hugh says, yet again, the golden shield question gets ignored. I apologize, Hugh. I must not have seen it. It's tricky to see every comment in the chat. I do my best. But there's definitely a little bit of awkwardness around the shield. In some ways, we could make a giant list of things we would do different if we were designing it today. The golden shield long ago was meant to be kind of a free t-shirt with every purchase. A little thank you, a special thank you from the devs. Of, hey, thank you for supporting the game. Here's a month of shield. Everything just kind of gave you a month, just rounded it up to a month. And we thought, oh, it's just neat. Your shield's gold. You can, it's a visual reminder, a visual thank you on the screen. And boy, did we ever underestimate the importance of 7 luck. We just, we weren't as good at our craft as we are now. And it became more, well, now players were just really interested in the luck bonus when we thought, well, it's just, we did it because lucky number 7. That's it. Really, that's all the thought that went into that thing. And a little knee-jerk reaction when that kind of came out to adjust the times. So I was like, well, hold on, I want more shield if I have a kit or something like that. And we just kind of quickly fixed that. We were kind of trying to make everybody happy. And really, we should have slowed down, put more thought into it, because it needs to scale at kind of either a linear scale or something, because kind of $1 for giving you a month and $20 giving you 2 months just kind of doesn't make any sense, right? So the only solution there is to reduce the amount of shield time you get for $1, which is just kind of not very fun or very good sounding at all. So until we find just the right solution to that golden shield problem, we're kind of like, well, it's not completely broken, so let's not fix it. And we're just hoping one day we have that eureka moment of like, oh, this just kind of smooths everything out nicely. But by all means, just know the original intention with the shield was just a big thank you from the devs for supporting the game and letting us do what we do. And work on the game full time to kind of add as much to it as we can. So it was never kind of meant to be something a bonus we sell. It was really meant to be, you look at your page and you can feel good for being involved in keeping the game alive, up and running, and healthy. Fed says, thanks, Fave. Thanks to you. Thanks for joining me. Have a good weekend, says Lady Nutsy. You as well. Have a fantastic weekend. Michelle as well. Have a great weekend. Right back at you. Everybody in the chat. Hopefully have a fantastic weekend, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're about to embark upon. I hope it goes great. Cheers. Have a great weekend, Ryan. You as well. Eli asks, if there are only 2 hunts left on my cauldron on November 9, will I be able to extract those 2 hunts, or will it take 15? As of November 9, sounding the horn will do absolutely nothing to your cauldron. So if you have 2 hunts remaining, you have to either use a reagent, or you can cancel the brew and cash your things out for charms. At that point, all good things must come to an end at some point, and inevitably when it ends, someone's going to have 1 or 2 hunts left. So just be aware of that. As of November 9, sounding the horn will no longer progress the cauldrons whatsoever. Even look at this. This is the state it'll be on November 9. No number. Nothing here. Nothing happens. It's like, oh, I got pumpkins. I can't even see how many hunts left I have on the cauldron because it's completely irrelevant. The horn and hunting will do absolutely nothing. The only thing I can do is click this. Or I can cancel it. But you know what? No. I don't want to use reagent. Just cancel it. Get my stuff back. Go to the shop. Buy some charms. Cool. I cashed everything out. I'm zero. Zeroed out. It's like Giorgio, he likes to clean everything up. Make sure, like, okay, all my, before he moves on to the next stage of an area, he likes to use up all of his loot drops. Make the next cheese. Okay, fresh start. Okay, go. Cool. Well, I am just purely starting to ramble now, hunters. That's usually my cue to skidoo. I'm going to head out. Happy hunting, everybody. Have a fantastic day, afternoon, evening, weekend. Probably be Jacob joining you next Friday. Actually, I'm taking next Friday off, so it's going to be either Jacob... no feedback Friday or something entirely new. I don't know, but I'm going to venture a guess Jacob will probably be up for doing it unless he's off as well. Well, then we'll figure out something. But have a fantastic time. Thanks for joining me, hunters. Thanks for all the feedback. Happy haunted hunting, and I'll see you next time.
2.
You're a trap. You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat, I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back, you don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back, you don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cruel. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe.